We're a police for emergency.
We need a lot of ambulances at the Royal Post Office.
What's the problem?
Somebody's in here shooting everybody.
Oh, God, somebody's in the post office shooting everybody.
A critical skill for employees to develop is how to diffuse upset coworkers, customers, clients, and visitors. Mastering de-escalation verbal diffusion skills is not only a means to respond to a distraught individual and offer good customer service, it's also a means to increase your personal safety. Diffusing the angry individual requires that you are aware that communication is a two-way street. You should not only read the individual's verbal and nonverbal behaviors, but be aware of your own verbal and nonverbal behaviors as well. There are a variety of challenging people. These may include the angry person making threats, the suspicious intruder, the mentally unstable individual, people who violate rules, the opportunistic criminal, threatening or intimidating individuals, domestic violence perpetrators, the bully, and the entitled individual. When trying to determine how to intervene with a challenging or aggressive individual, it is always important for you to monitor your own sense of personal safety. Personal safety considerations include observing the nature of the situation, your own verbal and nonverbal skills and behaviors, your body stance, voice tone, and attitude, the actual words you use. Throughout the discussion, you want to avoid responding in condescending or impatient tones. Have and show empathy. Use a pleasant tone of voice. Try not to take things personally and face the person. It may also be important to set limits, remain focused, and assess how the interaction ended so as to anticipate future behaviors and risks by this person. Just as you are looking at the individual's verbal and nonverbal behaviors, they are also reading your verbal and nonverbal behaviors. They are assessing if you are accepting, understanding, indifferent, or unhelpful to the issues they are bringing before you. When interacting with a challenging or upset person, remember the strategies of good customer service. Greet each person immediately and call them by their name. This establishes a sense of connection that you're interested in them, and it reinforces your connection with them. Make the first 30 seconds count. Most people form impressions within the first 30 seconds when meeting someone. They will evaluate quickly how interested, receptive, friendly, open, or disinterested you are. Show your energy and sincere friendliness. Be the person's problem solver. Although the individual may be aggressive or upset, ultimately they have an issue that they are not sure how to resolve. Your helping them solve the problem will build trust and receptivity. Demonstrate active listening. Try to understand what the issues are, and most importantly, try to work with them to solve the issues. This is often an excellent approach to build a connection with the person, diffuse their aggression, and resolve their stresses and tension. Make the last 30 seconds count. How you close your discussion with them sets a tone for the outcome and for follow-up opportunities. Thank them for sharing information with you. Tell them you heard what they said to you and that you will try to act on their request to the extent it's within your power to obtain a resolution. During the interaction, always monitor your own sense of safety, particularly if the person may be aggressive or threatening. If at any time during the interaction you feel unsafe, do not hesitate to leave the situation immediately. If the challenging individual is an unwanted visitor, guest, intruder, or companion to someone who has a legitimate reason for being at your location, a good approach model is the process of introduce, explain, ask. Introduce suggests when you see someone who seems lost or out of place or is suspicious, or if they're unknown to you, introduce yourself by name and ask the person for his or her name. This establishes a connection with that individual, and you can focus on them. Explain suggests explain the rationale as to why you decided to talk to them and ask them what their purpose is at your location. Ask is your means of trying to get their compliance with what you are trying to do. Now that you've expressed why you are addressing them and trying to understand why they're at your location, you may either accept their answer or suggest they depart. A tactful way of doing this is to ask for his or her understanding, cooperation, or compliance. You may have to repeat this cycle more than once, since some self-important, entitled, or angry people may not hear the statement the first time you ask. In setting limits with difficult people, remember some rules of engagement. Stay firm, fair, assertive, and consistent. Let them vent. Validate their words and phrases by saying such things as, "I understand. Please tell me more. I am sorry that happened." People will cooperate if they can do so with their dignity intact, so please try and show empathy. Create space and distance between you and them, so you are not in the face-to-face zone. If people start getting too aggressive or too close to your own personal space, use barriers between them and you, such as desks, carts, tables, or chairs. Speak to them in just a volume that is just below theirs. Do not try to match or outshout them. Also, do not speak too softly, or they may think you're not taking them seriously. Separate them from their audience. If there are others around, suggest going to a more private area so you can more respectfully and clearly hear their positions and concerns without having to have others be observers to this process. Change the ratio of confrontation. If the person seems to be escalating their anger, one strategy is to change the ratio of confrontation. This means requesting another colleague, supervisor, or security to come over so that there are two of you listening to the individual as opposed to one. Sometimes the presence of another person will help maintain better impulse control in the individual who may be escalating his or her behavior. An excellent technique to de-escalate the aggressive individual and to show them that you are a problem solver is to use the technique of the ABCs of verbal diffusion. This technique can be very effective in taking the energy and anger out of the interaction, building a relationship with them, showing them that you are listening to them, helping them focus, and ultimately solving the issue about which they are concerned. The ABCs are A, acquire information, B, boil it down, C, clarify the outcome they are seeking. For A, ask them about the situation, how it began, how they are experiencing it now, who's involved, and what are their thoughts on the situation. For B, help them boil it down. Sometimes an individual will become very expansive and talk about many issues that are troubling them. Help them refocus, boil down the core elements of the problem. Then validate your understanding of the core issues. For C, clarify what solutions or outcomes they feel would resolve the situation for them. You may also generate alternative solutions that they may not have considered, but also may work. Try to come to an agreement on next steps and how the solutions you discussed can be implemented and monitored on a timely basis. Throughout the entire discussion, use the person's name. Listen attentively and show respect. Acknowledge their emotional mood. Give feedback, repeating the same words they used. Display nonverbal behaviors of being attentive and showing interest. Involve them in coming to a solution so they are part of the problem-solving process. Achieve agreement on a possible solution and next steps. At that point, summarize actions you will take to help them solve the problem and what actions they will take. Verify that the solution or resolution you are proposing is acceptable to the individual. Set a time and date for follow-up so that they feel that someone is taking action on resolving their concern, and so that they feel valued, that the situation that is upsetting to them will be resolved. Helpful phrases to build empathy during the communication process include, "I hear you and I'm trying to help you." "I'm sorry this is happening to you." "You could be right." "When did you decide to do it this way?" "Is there anything I can do right now that would be helpful?" Educate me on your point of view. A problem when meeting or interacting with aggressive people is that supervisors, managers, or employees may not want to get involved. However, maintaining safety in the workplace and good morale will often be determined by individuals speaking up and taking ownership of contentious or aggressive situations. Some reasons supervisors or employees may not take ownership may be fear for one's own personal safety, or not being sure of what to do, not knowing strategies to effectively confront individuals who are upset. In deciding to intervene and address these issues, it is important for you to first ask yourself, do I need additional support or security or even law enforcement to safely deal with this person? In determining a threshold when to act, there are certain issues to consider. You must take ownership of the situation when the individual's behaviors violate the violence prevention policies and security procedures of the organization. Their behavior is hurting the business environment and work productivity, or when their behavior is generating some degree of fear and uncertainty in others, and when employees or customers complain about this personal behaviors and you are now on notice to take some kind of action. When intervening, be firm, fair, consistent, and assertive with a challenging person, but always remember your responsibility to maintain a safe environment for the company, your facility, and other individuals and employees affected. When anger comes into the workplace through upset or difficult individuals, employees who are trained to intervene, listen respectfully, and help resolve problems are a great resource. They often can generate win-win outcomes for the difficult person, the organization, and anyone else who might be affected by these situations.